I remember years back when I was part of the Infusion Nurses Society, because I too come from a specialty nursing practice background. I was first introduced to the standards by Ramon Lavandero.
Yes.
And he was passionate about the fact that this is something that everyone should engage with, everyone should embrace, everyone should be a part of the process.
Yes.
And you're right, 20 years ago, did we really think about the environment? Did we spend that much time thinking about it? Or was it just, let's go to work, let's get the job done, and let's move on and find people to replace us in the succession line, which we know we failed at.
Right. Well, and I think one thing that I find as I go around, and I was at a conference talking about the standards, and this person approached me and she goes, we need these in, blank area. And why can't we write standards for us? And I said, you can use these standards.
These are standards for us. Yeah.
Yeah. We want everybody to use them. And they're like, oh no, they're critical care standards. And I said, no, they're not. I said, open the standards, read them. There is not one word about critical care in them. It's about practicing in a safe, healthy work environment. And so we invite everyone to use them. You do not have to be a critical care nurse. You don't have to be a practice nurse. You can be in academia. You could be in a clinic. I mean, you can be anywhere and use these standards. I've often said they might even help in the divorce court.
Oh. Well, I have a question for you. With the standards, is there one thing that jumps out to you that really everyone should really put in place? Something is like, this is so important that if you don't do this, no one's going to have a good environment. Is there one thing that jumps out at you?
That's probably the most common question that any of us that are kind of experts, if you will. Yeah. And by the way, Ramon is I absolutely
love them. Love
him. But what we have found is that if you focus on one standard, all of the other standards are going to follow. And so it's almost impossible to focus on one without focusing on all of them. So just to remind the audience, if you're not aware, our standards are skilled communication, true collaboration, effective decision-making, appropriate staffing, meaningful recognition, and authentic leadership. And if you try to break those apart, it's impossible to break them apart because you can't have true collaboration without skilled communication.
Yeah.
You can't have effective decision-making without true collaboration. So all of those things become intertwined. So I can't really say one's more important. I would say probably skilled communication is the one that you find threaded throughout, more so than some of the other standards, but they're all intertwined.
Yeah. Good answer. Back to you, Sherry.
Right. Yeah. I was just wondering, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers want to know as well, why critical care? Why did you folks develop this and roll it out and basically create the standard and raise the bar for all of us? Why was it something that was so important to you in the clinical space that you knew that something had to change?
Oh, I wish I would have been one of those original people sitting around that table when these were developed, but it really came out of years of our board and our team, our actual staff members partnering together to really talk about what was impacting bedside nurses. And that's how it really came to fruition, is that became the #1 advocacy issue for AACN and has continued to be the #1. But it was really listening to our members and what they were facing on a day-to-day basis and giving voice to what they needed.
Yeah.
Wow, you certainly were the pace setters when it comes down to that. It's made a huge difference, certainly in my nursing career, and I know that of casts of hundreds of thousands more, because it was, in fact, the first example of what could be disseminated across the entire nursing and healthcare spectrum. No question. No question at all. So you've written a really profound chapter in our co-authored book. We're thrilled to pieces with what you've contributed. Can you share with us what is the one major takeaway from your chapter, one thought that will lead to transformative change?
I think the one thing that I want readers to walk away with is changing a work environment is difficult, hard work. It sounds like it's easy, but it takes years to change a culture, and that's really what you're doing. So don't get frustrated, don't get defeated, but just take one step at a time. So when I was AACN president, my theme was step forward. And my whole mantra was, you don't have to see the top of the staircase. Martin Luther King told us that, but you have to take one step at a time. And so that's the whole thing is this is a staircase that you're climbing. Take one step at a time until you reach that pinnacle. And it may take you years to reach the pinnacle, but it's worth it.